Good morning, friends, family, countrymen, mommies, whatever we're doing here, our beloved audience. My pal Meredith Lynch is here with me today. We got lots to talk about. Let's start with AOC is freezing her eggs, which I have also done, so I have opinions, but she's doing it publicly while also talking about not ruling out a run for presidency. Meanwhile, we both thoughts about Anne Hathaway's pregnancy. And so we're going to talk about, the politics of women having babies when they're not 22. Speaking of having babies when they're 22, Brad Pitt is back in the news. I guess maybe he wasn't 22.
I don't think he had a baby at 22. No. I actually think he was probably like well into his 30s, yeah. And so was Angelina Jolie. But I appreciate your you know what? Doesn't mean that he never got someone pregnant at 22. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
Brad Pitt is back in the news.
As long as it was consensual and decisions that were made.
Sure. Yeah.
We have to say these things.
Yeah. Well,
they're up our asses.
They are up our asses. Anyways, Brad Pitt is off the wagon and on AI. So we're going to talk about that and just sort of like the general. Brad Pitt keeps on like surfacing in this weird way that he's like still sort of an A-list celebrity, but also kind of a menace. And I don't know, he's like in this weird place. We're going to talk about it. And then our pal, Senator Ed Markey, we're so excited to have him back. Not our pal, but, we like to have him on here. We're going to talk to him about...
Also, he was he's the first
that's why I said
political representative that you and I ever interviewed together. I think he's the first senator that I ever met with for when I used to do my old show. So he's you know what we call it?
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show. Yeah. Yeah. And he's a Massachusetts senator.
He was my representative. And then he obviously my senator.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. Friend of the show.
Anyways, he's here to talk about the midterms. He's been warning about ICE and guards at the polls. So we're going to talk to him about that. But let's start with not our friend, but friend in our.
We think she's a friend of the show.
She's part of our cohort. Over the weekend, millennial Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez posted a video on Instagram showing that she's freezing her eggs. She even went as far to show herself doing injections while she was about to go on live TV.
I know.
And she's been answering questions all week and sort of putting out pictures and videos of herself doing the shots. I think this is really, really interesting, both interpersonally, because I've gone through the egg freezing process and I can talk a little bit about why I think that's important, but I also think it's really interesting because we've seen in the White House, Katie Miller, Caroline Leavitt, Usha Vance, there's been this baby boom on the Republican side. And I think there's this sort of association with fertility and families and, whatnot on the right. And to see AOC be like, hey, we're family planning on the left too, and it's important, and young women are in Congress. Even Katie Miller came out and supported her on X, which is interesting, a rare moment of camaraderie. She's basically just saying good for you. And then later this weekend, AOC got asked if she was running for president and she didn't rule it out. So what were your impressions of this?
I mean, I think this is fantastic.
Yeah.
I think that this is one of the few things that, we could try to find a way to agree on. But the interesting thing is we still don't. That's the problem that we're not, in order to really make this a reality for women, we would need to be offering better healthcare options.
Amen.
So I'm happy for AOC.
Yeah.
She should do this. And I would imagine that she is still paying an out-of-pocket cost for it.
Well, so I currently owe money on my rent for my eggs.
Yes.
So I froze my eggs when I was 30 because I had ovarian cysts in my 20s.
Right.
And I was working at the time and I had good health insurance in New York. And so they covered it as a medical necessity.
Yeah.
And it was honestly women since then have called me up and asked me about the egg freezing process. And what I say is do it. It is if you can in any way afford it or look into how your insurance could cover it, the experience itself. I had an amazing doctor, Dr. Josh. I've sent several people on the Upper East Side.
So you didn't feel like it was painful or like I don't mean the actual shots, you guys. Get the fuck over it. Like
Look,
no
it
one
is-
likes getting a shot, but I'm just saying, like, I mean, like, is it painful in the sense of like last night on TMZ they were talking about it and the women were like, well, you can't drink and it makes you gain weight.
Listen, here's what I will say is it is a real process. It is 2 weeks. And like, this is what happens is basically you have like, it builds up is you take these shots every night for a while. And then every couple of days you go see the doctor and they start to watch it. And then the second week or like they're tracking your cycle, then you have to go get your blood drawn every day.
Okay.
And that part for me was really hard because it was like every day before work, you have to go and get your blood drawn. And then you start these other shots. Basically, what they're trying to do is like pull out, use these hormones to bring out as many eggs as possible. And then like let them grow as much as possible and try and get them at the last possible minute
And then
before
freeze them.
And then freeze them. And so you do have to have like a small surgery. You have to go under anesthesia.
How long was the process for you?
Somewhere between 2 and 3 weeks.
Oh, it's really not that long.
It's not
because wait till the haters come on and be like, you know what? She could be making change right now, and instead she's freezing her eggs.
I will tell you, I didn't take I was at the time producing Pivot twice a week, and I didn't take a single day off. Like that's how. So in other words, like I don't want to lead people astray.
Even for the anesthesia,
it was like it worked. Like the timing ended up working.
Yeah.
But
listen,
I should have.
The kids are on us.
I also will say, like, I'm nuts. Like,
so I'm gonna make you produce your
my
days
eggs,
off.
Yeah.
No, Kara Swisher's gonna have to sign something that you
or
whatever. So I just wanted to say, Vanna threw in the chat. AOC posted a story this morning. She had to buy insurance on the DC marketplace, and her plan does not have fertility coverage, so she's paying for all of it out of pocket,
which is crazy expensive.
Well,
so like right now, I have to go home and look at my finances and be like, okay, I have to like put money towards, because then you have to basically
like a storage
unit. Yeah, exactly. No, it's like
you have to keep them frozen.
You have to keep them frozen. And what's interesting, I think also part of what AOC is saying is she's not like, I know I want a family. She's, and in some ways I kind of feel the same way. Like I do think that I want children, but I also, there's a part of you that you're like, I'm just paying rent on this thing.
Well,
just
it's
for
to
like
keep your options open.
But men don't have to do that.
Well, yeah, that's true.
I think of every man who like comes into my life and I'm like, that I have been paying for these eggs on back order for a decade now. Like you can't pay for dinner.
Well, I think it's an interesting moment. One of the things that I actually do remember when we had, oh my goodness,
Sarah Jacobs.
Nope. Who was on the show to talk about abortion? Jessica Valente. Oh my God, I had a brain fart. When we had her on, one of the things we asked her was like, is it true that Trump has expanded a little bit of fertility coverage? And she did say yes.
Yes.
It's like not been amazing. But the thing is, Project 2025, all of the Republicans, like they're actually have been like not great about this. So it's interesting to me to see Katie Miller in support of this when, historically we haven't been like Republicans have not, because to Republicans, the problem I think for a lot of them with egg freezing is that like, it's not like the conception that they believe in. That is,
what I was just thinking, and like, to be fair, I haven't seen her talk about this, but AOC is in a long-term partnership. And so what they actually recommend for you when you freeze eggs, if you have a partner, is actually to make an embryo, to like go the next step, because eggs, an embryo
is even better.
Better. But part of the problem is embryos under like certain abortion laws cannot be like are considered life.
Did that happen to Sofia Vergara? Didn't she have embryos with a guy that she was like married to, and then when they got divorced, he wanted the embryos.
Oh, yes.
Right? And then she was like, no, you can't go take my embryos and then like have like, because he could go get a surrogate.
That's right. Yeah. But so like this is part of the conversation when it comes to abortion and fertility
is like a life.
This is a life. Yeah. And that you can be therefore prosecuted if you destroy the embryos in certain states.
Like part of me is like, I'm surprised that they're not even coming after people for creating the embryos. They probably are.
I think they are.
Yeah.
I think they are.
So do you think that someone like a Katie Miller is fine with people doing the egg retrieval? They just don't want them to do the embryos?
I think that it's like whatever, I don't know, whenever I hear these stories, I'm like, it's all about control. I don't think any of it has any real logic to it. I remember listening to a conversation with Ross Douthat from the New York Times, who's like this like Mary Nasling Republican commentator, talking to a big anti-abortion activist.
Mm-hmm.
And I really try to listen to this. I really like to, like occasionally I'll listen to Fox News. Like I really like to listen to things where I'm like, this is so not what I think, but like, let me hear it out.
Mm-hmm.
And I genuinely could not get the thread of what it is that they care about in the course of this conversation. So to your question about Katie Miller, is like, I think it doesn't actually matter to her. I think she's just sort of like, whatever is going to keep us
the
in
thing that
control of
would
women's
make
bodies.
the highest birth rates isn't even this. The thing that would make higher birth rates is making it easier for people to have children and
100%,
families. And
100%.
so that is where I think the biggest disconnect for me is with someone like a Katie Miller. I'm like, hey, Katie Miller,
Yeah.
like if you want higher birth rates, why does your husband lock up thousands of women and their husbands? If you want higher birth rates, why don't we create a minimum wage a federal minimum wage that's livable? Like,
Well, that's why I think it's a control thing, is like they don't want they don't want women like me freezing my eggs and having a baby when I'm 42.
but why?
Because what they wanted, it was for me to not go to college and marry my high school sweetheart and have a baby when I was 20, like get married when I'm 22, have a baby by 25, have my second baby by 28. Like, because it's about control.
So
of,
you
like,
won't
the
go
nuclear
get
family.
educated. So you won't.
So you won't, yeah. So
No,
you
I
stay.
know.
Like, I think that it's all
Right.
I
So
don't.
it's not even about this idea of like, hey, let's give people resources so they can have families and just have like bigger lives.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I think it's so interesting that like I would say the biggest baby boom we've had like in recent
Yeah.
years, obviously, is like the 1950s, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah, the boomers.
the boomers. And the only reason, not the only reason, but a
But
big
big
reason
reason.
why the boomers exist is because of things like, and this is not a fair thing because it was not given to everybody, but things like the GI Bill
Mm-hmm.
and the ways in which the infused money into the economy.
Yeah.
And the other thing I'd say is like the 1950s is when we also started seeing women go to college,
Yeah.
like really go to
Yeah, yeah,
college.
yeah.
And so I think there's something really interesting about the fact that when we actually give families some of the tools that they need and like this is even coming up with the Lindsay Clancy case. Like if we had better support for mothers and new moms, then like we maybe would have better
Yes.
outcomes.
Yeah, I know. That's the
So-
thing with all of these. I think that, and this like brings up the Anne Hathaway of it all, is people are all upset about her belly that she's showing out
Oh my
in the
God,
world.
how good does this woman look on the red carpet?
She looks amazing, but people are like, they're like criticizing her body, how she looks, how old she is, yada, yada, yada. And like, just with all of these things, it's like, we want the nuclear family back and we want more babies and the birth rate is important, but don't do it like this. And it's too expensive like that. And don't do it like that. And it's embarrassing if you do it like this. And it's like, it seems like just all control.
Yeah. Yeah. And people are like saying one narrative that I really dislike that happens to a lot of these women is that they're faking their pregnancies. And that's what's
yeah.
coming in. I mean, you've heard about it. But I've noticed that they often do it to women who I think intimidate people in a way.
Mhm.
Like they've done it a lot with Beyonce.
Oh, totally.
And I think it's like, Anne Hathaway is like, she's the shit.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't do stuff that she doesn't want to do.
Yeah.
She, stays out a lot of stuff. And
Yep.
it's like, it's the second that she does something that
Yeah.
puts her in this like really interesting position of control.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, she's faking
She's
it.
faking it. I know. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And also I see this and I'm like, that's a woman who has abs for days. That's why her belly looks like that. Is she was doing 600 million crunches for like 15 years.
But also, like, let's keep in mind that Anne Hathaway has a level of privilege that, like, most
Totally,
women
of
don't
course.
have. And I think that she would be like, when she comes on the show, in the next couple of months, like, I think she would also be the first one to say, like, yeah, the reason that I can have a baby at 43 too, because I also talk to friends who are older that don't want to have babies right now because they are so afraid, especially in red states, of not getting the right care.
course.
And then, like, someone like Anne Hathaway doesn't have to Like, I mean, who knows? But like the
Right.
risk of her, you know, like bleeding out in a parking lot or
Totally.
something
Yeah.
is a lot different than like what a lot of women might go through at 40 in
And
a
she
red
like
state.
probably had access to IVF and the best doctors.
Totally.
Let's talk about Brad Pitt really quick before we have our guest.
Oh my God, someone messaged me yesterday and like also too, like it was such a weird account. Like it was just like a superhero. And they were like, can't wait to see you actually take Brad Pitt to task for being who he is. And I wrote back and I was like, I've talked about Brad Pitt being a piece of shit several times.
Many.
Like
I feel like it's like a running theme of this show.
yeah, I before this show too.
Yeah.
And people were and the person was like, "Oh, good. Thank you." And I was like, "Yeah, okay. Thank you. Listen, this is fucking why I got a fucking master's degree so I could talk
Talk about
this.
Brad Pitt. Yeah.
So anyway, but I will say this, Brad Pitt is in a new article in Esquire, and one of my biggest takeaways from it is that he is no longer sober.
Yeah.
And I thought this was a very interesting thing for him to admit to, but I also think that he's a little bit on the offense because I'm wondering if something else is about to come out.
Yeah.
He was sober for, he said, 7.5 years. The sobriety kicked off after the 2016 plane incident that happened between him and his now ex-wife, Angelina Jolie, where according to these FBI documents, I mean, he, in my
Dangerous.
opinion, because he's never been charged, he assaulted his entire family while drunk on that private plane. And oh, by the way, very interesting Brad Pitt skincare line that you guys decided to do a collaboration last week with an airline. I was like, oh, I'd stay away from planes. I would make that as a rule. But he is saying that he's drinking again and he's like doing it in moderation. And I'll just say, like, as someone who, you know, growing up Irish Catholic, you just, you know, I have a lot of alcoholism in my family, and I've been so grateful and blessed to see so many people that I love tackle that and get sober. My husband is sober.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of him for that. Anybody who goes, in my opinion, and maybe I'm a little too AA pilled, you know, from seeing the experience of friends and family, anybody who goes from 7.5 years of sobriety, attending meetings, which is what he was doing and being so in it, to I drink again, red fucking flag. Like red fucking flag.
You know, my curiosity, and I was saying this to you before, is like, why, and I guess you said it too, is he's on the offense, is like, why now? You know, like, why go into Esquire, do this? Usually these types of interviews are like when somebody's on an Oscars campaign or like has something that they're doing as part of like a broader reinvention or like desire to be out in the public. So or they're doing like a cleanup of something. But like to go into Esquire and like explicitly talk about being off the wagon. He also talks in it about like having you know, ideations of self-harm, and like it's like a very dark, you know, like a dark interview, but I kind of am like, to what end? Why did he do this? Like, what is he trying to claw his way back from? But maybe it's about the Pitt kids.
It's never great when your children have to release something in the local newspapers, which, by the way, is a very outdated practice. But in order for his kids to change their names, they had to put something out in the newspaper. He does actually have a relationship still with one of his children.
Which one?
You guys correct me if I'm wrong. It might be like it's either Pax or Maddox. One of those. He still has a it's not great, but you know, whatever. I mean, families are complicated. But I think there's that. And the other thing that I would say is like, do not, and people get mad at me for this, do not underestimate how tough this industry is right now. Like, I know he is a wealthy man, but he also every month has to pay a lot of fucking people. And can you please tell me the last time that Brad Pitt had like some monstrous hit? If he was so wealthy, why does he have a cashmere line? Why does he have a skincare line? Some of that is for like a little bit of like optics to raise your brand, whatever. But like, I'm sorry, this industry, and which is interesting why he has this take on AI, which I actually think it's probably because he wants some kind of investment and he's got somebody in his back pocket. But like,
well, let's really quick say we haven't said that. So in the article, he does come out and say there's a lot of pushback against AI, but AI is going to be the very thing, if used as a tool, is going to help these mid-budget films, $40 to $90 million films. I wonder if there's something that he's doing as an executive producer. And that is really what he was trying to get out there. And Esquire was like, sure, but then we have to talk about like the whole thing. And so I agree. I wonder if there's something that he's trying to do, because he does executive produce films.
So much stuff.
And so I wonder whether it's that.
It's AI, so you can like go back to looking like 25, 30 years ago.
He's going to literally Benjamin Button.
Oh my God, I was watching this AI video last night. It was like, it's like an AI cartoon of like a cigarette who wants to become a vape.
Amazing.
And then I was like, I literally had one of those moments where I was like, okay,
Gotta
it's
get
time
off
to
the
put the
yeah.
phone down, Meredith.
I
You
know.
gotta go
There
touch
was a
grass.
little while where I was watching a lot of AI fruit slap,
Yeah,
and
it
I like
was-
couldn't stop, and I was like, oh.
Yeah. So also Brad Pitt, is that what if
Yeah.
he's just getting into AI fruit slap? I think you know what, actually, but I do think that like I said it once and I'll say it again. This town is expensive.
Yeah.
This industry is not paying.
He has like
And
10 kids worth of child support.
but they're all getting pretty old, and he doesn't have any. So I don't know how, but
much
but
child support, fair.
he has had a lot of expensive things happen in his life, and I just think that like I don't have sympathy for him because I'm not a fan. But I do think we need to just keep going back to like when people talk about like why is this person doing this? I'm like, you guys don't
Yeah.
get it. It is not. This town
Yeah.
is not cheap.
Well,
and
it's
it's not
lifestyle
paying.
inflation is like if you get
Right.
into a lifestyle. I mean, like, look, even I've fallen into that where it's like you have a moment, you're like, okay, I guess this is my life.
Yeah.
You like buy expensive things, and then you got to maintain those expensive.
Yeah, and you know what else? I think I had a dream the other night that I had a dream.
hamburger was eating
No,
me.
yeah, exactly. I had a dream. Maybe you have a fax machine. I had a dream the other night that I was so broke that I was going to have to fly in the wagon wheel of a plane, which I'm not that broke, you guys.
I might be after I have to pay these egg freezing bills.
But that kind of reminds me of. Did you see that Trump had to go in a catering truck in order to get out a turkey?
I mean, that's pretty like Argo coded. You know what I mean? Like, yes, I did see this.
Do you think that he was like, you know what? I'll just stay back here.
You know, there's like, unfortunately, there's something like a little bit bad. You know, like this is what I mean. It's like it's a little Air Force One. Get off my plane.
I'm sorry. When you come out of there and he's eaten all the Butterfingers and it's covered in orange bronzer.
That's true. He's got that's a good point.
I don't know his favorite candy.
I think it's just Diet Coke and burgers all day, baby.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. So exciting.
So exciting.
Speaking of people who run this country, we have with us Massachusetts Senator Ed Markey. He represents Massachusetts in the U.S. Senate. He served in Congress for over 4 decades, first in the House, now in the Senate. A Malden native, close to where you grew up, son of a union milkman. He's leading a voice on climate, technology, and progressive economic policy. Senator Ed Markey, welcome back to the show.
Yay!
Thank you.
We're so excited you're here.
Thank you.
I gotta ask you right off the bat, because I saw you this summer. I saw you working the ice cream truck again, getting back to your roots.
I drove an ice cream truck. You know what? When you get your early jobs in your life, it's somebody your mother or father knows. And so,
Right.
As Rebecca was just saying, my father drove a truck for the Hood Milk Company. So he gets me a truck drive, for ice cream. So I'm going to be selling ice cream. And a lot of who I am actually comes from driving that ice cream truck, because you're going up and down. You don't know what's going to happen. It's every street is a new adventure. Who's coming out? Who's going to be talking to you? And so actually, by the way, this is a Dunkin' Donuts cup of coffee from Haynes Square in Medford. I just got that.
Oh my God!
Yeah, so that's just so I wanted Meredith to feel comfortable.
I feel like I'm with my people. All right, this is my last quick question, then we'll get to the real stuff. But okay, you go up to the ice cream truck. What would be your ice cream truck order?
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
Well, I'm like, you become like an ice cream aficionado. You're not like an ordinary ice cream customer, because I had chocolate eclairs, strawberry shortcakes, hoods, twin fudges, creamsicles. I mean, I got it all every single day. It's an occupational hazard, right? So you can like take care of yourself all day for 12 hours a day. And so, but out of all of it, if there was one, you know what? The oldies but goodies are the best. So I would still go with a creamsicle.
Creamsicle. Creamsicle,
Or,
yes.
you know what I mean? It's a guarantee.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
gonna
that's right.
work every time.
Yeah.
And there's something that's palate clearing about that orange covering,
Mhm.
Yep.
that works. You know what I mean? And,
Totally.
so I guess I would go with a creamsicle. How about you, though, Meredith?
Now that you're saying this out loud, I
Yeah.
think that by the end of the day, I'm going to have to go get a creamsicle somewhere.
I would get an Italian ice. And like a lot of people
Ooh.
here in LA, they don't know Italian ice.
Yeah, that is such an East Coast
But
thing.
on the East Coast, we have these Italian ices, Luigi's Italian ice.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you gotta
With the
eat it
little
with
the
you
wooden
gotta eat it with the
spoon.
wooden spoon. Well,
Wait a
anyway.
minute. It's Spatafora's Italian ice. The mall at Louise's. It's Spatafora.
Yeah.
Oh, is there Louise's? Is there a Louise's out in LA?
Isn't there
No, it's
Luigi's?
Luigi's.
But I also like a
Luigi's.
Richie's.
All right,
Well-
let's get down to brass tacks. Let's refocus here. I want to start with Todd Blanche, who was sworn in as the next Attorney General. Back in July, you and a group of senators, 11 senators, wrote a letter to then acting Attorney General and the Secretary, Homeland Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen and Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, demanding to know whether Trump administration was going to deploy armed forces to polling stations in November. I'm wondering whether you got a response, and now that he is the acting Attorney General, what you expect to happen there.
Well, since this administration has the highest prevarication coefficient of any administration in history, we're not going to get any response from them because they're just going to be in complete and total stealth mode until they hit the end of October. But all we have to know is that Trump said that he was considering invoking the Insurrection Act, which is the mobilization of the Marines and the Army. And he was going to do it in order to bring, protect democracy. Well, that's just putting them on the streets of Atlanta or Cleveland or other states that have contested Senate races this fall, because they do not want to have the United States Senate in the control of the Democrats, because we would then have the subpoena power. And in terms of ICE, we know that Todd Blanche has not taken off the table the use of ICE this fall. So,
Yep.
And so that's all to suppress the votes of Black and brown voters, married women, because they'll have some identification issues because of the change of name, and young people. In other words, Democratic voters. That's what it's all about.
Right.
And so we have to get ready because Todd Blanche is Trump's lawyer before he's the American people's lawyer. He's
Right.
going to do whatever Trump wants. And it's for him to just stay out of another impeachment proceeding. And so what ultimately Todd Blanche is going to help Trump do is to commit the impeachable offense, which is trying to suppress the vote on election day. That will be what we impeach him on, And so, so we just have to be ready to mobilize, to put millions of people out on the street, to go to a general strike in our country at the end of October, the beginning of November, just so we're talking to the Supreme Court of the United States. Hey, guys, you want to vote with the president to allow ICE out on the streets? We're going to make you accountable for the rest of your lives, millions of people. So we're going to have to be intimidating the Supreme Court publicly the same way Trump was going to be trying to intimidate them privately.
You bring up the women and IDs thing, and that kind of brings up the SAVE Act. Not kind of, it is the SAVE Act, essentially. So the Senate is out of session, and they have not passed the SAVE Act. Do you think that when y'all return, Trump is really going to go hard on the SAVE Act again?
Yeah, the polling is very bad for Republicans across the country. They've tried to gerrymander. They're trying to do everything that they can, but they've got big problems this fall. And so they know that they really can't win unless they put ICE agents on the street, or they just change the laws. That makes it more difficult for people to vote, because it's really not the Save Our Democracy Act. It's the Save Their Asses Act. That's what it's all about. They're gone if they can't find a way of suppressing the vote. So yeah, they're going to bring it back out again. Trump is going to continue to try to intimidate John Thune, but they don't have the votes.
Yeah.
So we're going to have him trying to create the perception of a constitutional crisis, that there is massive, rampant voter fraud going on across the country, when it's 0.0000001% And in response to that non-existent threat, he's going to try to mobilize troops and pass the SAVE Act. And he has to, because next year, when we get subpoena power as the Democrats controlling the House and Senate, we're going to have to buy a paper mill in Maine after we win the Maine seat, by the way, in order to have enough paper for all the subpoenas we're going to be issuing to his children, to his cronies, to the corporations that are all part of this criminal conspiracy, which is the Trump administration.
Do you think he really, you're saying sort of two things at once, which is like, if Democrats get the power back, we're going to subpoena him and he's going to be in trouble for impeachments. On the other hand, like, how much do you worry that the Republicans will be able to affect the November midterms? Like, is that a true concern? Like, what happens the second week of November? What does the second week of November look like?
That is to be determined. And a lot of it will be dependent upon how strong we are as a party. We're going to have to be mobilized. We're going to have to put 500,000 people out on the streets in Georgia. People are just going to have to. We're going to need no King's rallies on steroids all across the country. In the days leading up to an election day, just to protect people, give them a safe cordon that they can use to go into the ballot boxes. We just can't allow people to be intimidated. But we're also going to have the smartest lawyers over the next couple of months drafting anticipatorily the briefs that are going to be needed to go to the emergency hearings at the Supreme Court. And then the same thing will be true in the aftermath. We're in a battle. This guy is authoritarian. He's a would-be king. By the way, I don't, just for Meredith and me, Paul Revere rode right through Medford. Where
He did.
right,
Yes, and I lived on High Street, so right on the route.
Oh.
Well,
you know what I'm saying? So
right?
we, Meredith and I, we grew up channeling this no taxation without representation. No, Mr. King, you can't do it without having a representative body be able to serve as a check on you. So that's what's coming our way. He's envious of King George, and we're going to have to respond to the challenge. And by the way, they did in Medford 250 years ago. They got up, and they did as abolitionists fighting the Civil War, and we're going to have to do the same thing right now. So if ICE goes to the polls, we're going to need civil disobedience on steroids. We're going to have sit-ins. We're going to have labor unions just shut down the country. We're going to have businesses shut down. That's what happened in Minneapolis. Hundreds of businesses shut down after the murder of Renee Good and Alex Preddy. They just shut down. And that was a good model that we're going to have to nationalize heading into.
Well, let me ask you this. In Ohio right now, there are a very large population of Haitian individuals who are here on temporary protective status. And, where I'm from in Medford and, where you have lived over the years, we also, especially in the late 80s, early 90s, saw a huge influx that's just continued of Haitian immigrants coming to those areas. So in Ohio right now, they are putting what are those tracking devices? The like a prisoner would have.
An ankle monitor.
An ankle monitor.
Yes.
They're putting ankle monitors on Haitian individuals who have temporary protective status. In the state of Massachusetts, I read this morning that there are 45,000 Haitian individuals who have temporary protective status. I'm wondering from your perspective, especially as you're out there campaigning, what are you hearing about from these folks? And, obviously, I would argue this is just another ICE tactic.
Well, as you just said, there's 45,000 Haitians in Massachusetts, and there's a grand total of 350,000 across the nation who have temporary protected status. And beyond that, in jeopardy are another approximately million people from Salvador, from Honduras, from other countries around the world that are all going to be affected ultimately by the aftermath of this decision. So Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley and I, we have been trying on the floor of the House of Representatives with a coalition that she built, and then with with Senator Lisa Blunt Rochester,
Mhm.
Abiel over on the Senate side to keep bringing out the legislation which would extend TPS beyond the next election, beyond
Okay.
2020 to the end of 2028. So we're going to have to keep keeping the pressure up, and the more that this administration is putting ankle bracelets on people, just grabbing people and throwing on planes. What they're doing is they're taking gardeners, they're taking cooks, they're taking construction workers, they're taking people who are out of the community, and they're threatening the very economy
Mhm.
of those states. And I think it's very telling that Governor Mike DeWine of Ohio, a Republican, a dyed-in-the-wool Republican, is saying this is going to be terrible for the economy of
Yeah.
Ohio. So the Republicans, the MAGA Republicans, they're in denial about the impact immigrants play
Yeah.
Mhm.
in doing jobs that are essential in nursing homes, in home health care, that otherwise the industry doesn't have enough employees to provide those services. So that's going to be our job, and that's why, by the way, Meredith, I went up to Biddeford. I went up to Biddeford, Maine 2 weeks ago after they murdered Mr. Guerrero, who
Mhm.
was just a guy who was a good worker, father, husband, and they just murdered him on cold blood, the same way they murdered Renee Good and Alex Preddy. So I went up there to a rally of hundreds of people in Biddeford. And by the way, Biddeford only has 23,000 people in it. There are hundreds of people out there, hundreds. It's like Stoneham, Meredith. You know what I'm saying? It's not Medford with 65,000. It's 23,000 people. Hundreds of people were out, and they were mourning and they were angry. And it's going to translate into the
Yeah.
election up in Maine. It's going to translate into the election in Ohio, helping Sherrod Brown. It's going to help people because there's an anger. There's a real sense of identification with those families who are being undermined, and moreover, with Ayanna Pressley, again, Congresswoman from Massachusetts, I've also introduced legislation to take away qualified immunity from these ICE agents so that they can be sued by the families.
Mm. Yeah.
Right now, they have immunity.
Yeah.
They have to be sued.
Yeah.
They have to be made accountable. So we've done that as well. And so our job is just to continue to raise the profile as high as we can in the near term, but ultimately just to change the law to create a pathway to citizenship for all of those TPS, all of those DACA young people, and for all of the 11 million immigrants. We can't send them back. They're now a part of our community.
Mhm.
Speaking of Maine, Susan Collins, Senator Susan Collins, was one of the only senators to vote with the Democrats against Todd Blanche in this most recent. Can you talk about like some of the fissions you're seeing with the Republicans in the Senate? We're starting to see. I mean, Susan Collins, I guess, always had concerns, but we saw Thomas Massie push back against Trump. We saw Marjorie Taylor Greene, leave Congress. Are you starting to see like actual cracks in the Republican Party around Donald Trump, or is this sort of like more of the same weak backbone?
Well, honestly, sad to say, even as recently as 3 days ago, Senator Cassidy from Louisiana
Mhm.
voted to confirm Todd Blanche,
Mm-hmm.
even though
He used to be your real partner against private equity and hospitals too. The two of you were doing such important work. Sorry, I just
And
have
it's
to
not
say.
even coming back to
and you got it. And what Meredith is referring to is this criminal enterprise that came in to
Yeah.
the Steward health system, 6 hospitals in Massachusetts, and just hauled them out.
Yeah.
Hauled out the funding for emergency rooms, for ICU units, and then enriched themselves to the tune of hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, and just left the medical institutions as a shell of themselves. So, and on that, I did partner with Senator Cassidy. He's a physician.
Yeah.
But let's just be honest, okay? The whole Republican Party now, they just operate under Godfather Part 1 rules, which is they get an offer they can't refuse. And if they refuse it, they get taken out. Thom Tillis gets taken out.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Cassidy gets taken out. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene gets taken out. I
Yeah.
mean,
Thomas Massey,
It's just, that's all you need to know
Yeah.
about the
Yeah.
state of the party. Can you imagine other Republicans going, Marjorie Taylor Greene,
yeah,
she's
right,
crazy. I
right.
can't, I'm like, and so what they do is they kind of put their own conscience in some kind of, escrow account over here. They'll come back and visit it at some point in the future. But for the time being, they're just going to follow orders so that Trump doesn't take them out, because it's really like, I heard all these movies that you were just talking about. By the way, get off my plane.
Right? See, it's a little bit get off my plane, even though,
Yeah, it's just so great, But there's another great movie, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. So, so that's how you have to think of these Republicans. You see them, they look like the same person. And they went to a very fine university. And you can still have a very intelligent conversation with them, like an Invasion of the Body Snatchers. But inside, they're occupied.
Do you think Susan Collins, though, do you think like when she makes that vote against Todd Blanche and Lisa Murkowski does, they're like, I'm going to vote this way so it'll look really good to my purple moderate people back in Maine, but I know that he's still going to get confirmed? Or do you think she's actually voting with her conscience of, I don't believe in Todd Blanche?
Yeah. Ultimately, they're able to give, a release to, depending upon the vote, to a certain number, a small number.
Exactly.
And so, and that's where, obviously, Senator Cassidy's vote was central. So it's why we need this fall. We just need the blue wave, to arrive. Our side is up, and it is angry and organized, and it just has to just stay that way for the next 2.5 months. That's all that's left. 2.5 months. We're heading towards an historic election.
Happening.
And meanwhile, on their side, let's just take the tariffs. Those are all small business people who have had to live with those tariffs. They're what we call, Meredith and Medford, we just call them Rotarians, call them Kiwanians. They're not ultra liberals. They're just people on Salem Street and High Street that, they just have their little business. Well, they're the ones paying the tariffs. So, and they're Republicans for the most part, and they're discouraged. They're the ones paying the price. So the MAGA people are up, but the rest of the Republican base doesn't have the level of enthusiasm that our base has to get out and vote. And we just have to capture it, mobilize it, and put it in place for Election Day while we're protecting against the voter suppression plan that they are absolutely going to try to effectuate.
Well, Senator Markey, we are so grateful for your time as always. Thank you for coming back on the show, and we will continue following along in all of this work.
No, so great to be with you again.
Good to see you.
See you at Dunkin's in Haynes Square soon.
Oh, I can only dream.
I'm going to get a creamsicle after this.
Bye, Senator Markey.
Bye, Senator. I liked his green background today.
I know. Okay, you know what's so funny? We
Tell
didn't
me.
get to talk about this, but I wanted to talk about Mitch McConnell.
That's what's going to be my last.
But you know what I really wanted to talk about? Like, because he brought up Thom Tillis. Like, did you know that talk about how the mighty have fallen. Thom Tillis now lives in like the basement apartment of Mitch McConnell's house.
What?
Yes. Because like
What?
he looks like a depressed, divorced dad.
What?
So like they caught him the other, and so basically what happened was like I feel like there's a much bigger paparazzi presence in DC now, especially with TMZ.
Totally.
Which by the way, Amy Diaz is saying loved him and his accent. Yeah,
We love it.
What you guys don't know is like I can turn that accent on real fast,
real quick. Medford.
because it is it's in me. But they caught him the other day. And they were like, Thom Tillis, like, are you visiting Mitch McConnell? He was like at a depressing back door. And he's like, no, you guys have been following me like crazy. I wish that Vienna could pull up the video. He was like, you guys have been following me like crazy, but this is where I live now. I sold my apartment or my condo because I'm not going to, obviously, again, be in office. So I've been renting from Mitch McConnell, and you guys have been following me and thinking this is different than it is. It's the funniest fucking video too, because he
really
truly
funny.
looks like a divorced, depressed dad.
Well, but he also that is really depressing. Be like, hey, I'm not going to be in Congress anymore, so I'm not renewing my lease. So I'll just sit in the basement, you know, like there's a
Yeah.
metaphor in there somewhere.
Yeah.
There's a metaphor.
I
in there
know.
somewhere.
And like he also looked like very disheveled as we do our moments. Let's see if Vienna can pull up the Thom Tillis like with his like papers
his-
and like his like
Just, like,
water
looking
bottle.
like,
They're like he's like
it is like really depressing. It is, you know, like whenever we talk to these, you know, like
you
they're
have to
not-
actually love the game to some degree.
Oh, I think that's what is happening with a lot of these people, where it's like Susan Collins, do you love being in the Senate so much?
I think she does.
Yeah, no, I think she has no
Yeah.
identity other than
Yeah.
that, which is why, like, you know, I respect Marjorie Taylor Greene. You know, she said, I've got other things to do, as much as I'm like, you know, Jewish space lasers. What's having a moment for you?
You know, I would say what's having a moment for me right now is my new favorite thing, which is peanut butter Snickers.
Ooh.
Oh my God, I'm obsessed with them.
Wow,
So
the sweet tooth in me this morning is going wild. I'm like,
they're
maybe I
s-
need that.
they're so good. So like, have you ever had a Take 5?
Yes.
Okay, so like I don't even know if they make Take 5 anymore.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. It's very rare that you see a Take 5, but I love a Take 5.
Huh. You can
but
like buy them on eBay.
yeah, like you don't see them like you used to. But
Yeah.
anyway, peanut butter Snickers have like a little bit of a Take 5 vibe going on.
Totally.
And I haven't done it yet, but I'm thinking about putting some of my
In the
peanut butter.
freezer?
Yes. And the other thing too is that like I got these fun size ones. They're like the perfect size. So I think I'm gonna like put a few in the freezer. Which you know what else I got yesterday?
Pray tell.
People are gonna be like, "What's going on with Meredith?"
You don't want to know.
Honestly, actually, I got Uncrustables.
Whoa, I've never had an Uncrustable.
Oh my God, they're so good. I
Really?
haven't had them in a little while. Like I went through a really big Uncrustables kick, but like, anyway, also
never
you
had
put them
one.
in the freezer and then you take them out, you let them thaw, and then you eat them.
Yeah.
But they're also really good. So anyway, it's been really
She's a
hot
snack
here in
girly.
LA. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
been snacking. So
It's time to get some creamsicles, is what time
oh my
it
God,
is.
I know. Like, I'm sorry. I know. Like, I was like, listen, I got to talk to you about the ice cream
Yeah,
truck
yeah,
because
yeah.
like I love a good ice
I
cream
know.
truck.
I really miss, because I grew up maybe like you. I grew up in like a neighborhood.
Yeah,
in
and,
like a
you'd hear
really
the
oh,
sound,
and
and
we
we'd
would
run
all
down,
be
and I'd
outside playing.
beg
Yeah.
for $5,
Totally.
and my mother would say like, "Dinner's really soon."
Yeah. And my dad would be like, go scrounge it off of somebody else.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What's having a moment for you?
Well, we just haven't done this yet, but have you seen the trailer for Wicker Man?
Okay. No, but also like you guys, like Wicker. If you know, you know. Wicker, the other Wicker Man is one of my favorite movies.
Really?
Not the bees. Like, do you know that one?
No.
I literally posted about it in the Substack the other day. Okay, so there's like Wicker Man with Nicolas Cage. That's not the one you mean.
yes. No. The new movie with Olivia Colman that everybody is talking about that I also can't wait to see. Wait, okay. So this is the premise. Olivia Colman, they're like in, you know, like a medieval type English, you know, British like little town, you know,
Mhm.
whatever. And she's sort of like this like old crotchety
Yeah.
woman, and she's the crown of the town, and
Wow,
she's
that's
not
quite a
married.
British accent.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Thank you so much. And then she goes to Peter Dinklage and she says, you know what, magical man? I want you to make me a husband.
Okay.
And he crafts a husband out of Wicker, played by Alexander Skarsgård, and it is like the horniest, sexiest trailer ever. It is like a reverse Beauty and the Beast, where it's like, you know, she invents like, and the women on the internet are going nuts for it because it is very women coded, and I can't wait to see it.
Okay, it's so interesting because also too, I love the fact that it's Olivia Colman and not like and Alexander Skarsgård. They're
Exactly.
probably around the same age. If
No,
not,
I don't think so. I think she's older than he is.
well, I was gonna say if not, she's older.
Oh, for sure. No,
Yeah,
that's
like, I
definitely the
mean it,
premise. Is that like
um,
it's, you know, like Beauty and the Beast. It's always classically like this like
Yes.
beastly man who has this like damsel in distress, but instead it's like this crone who invents like the perfect man.
Right.
And like it's very sexy.
Yes.
And he seems like he seems to be embodying all these things that women inherently, especially on the internet, are like, yeah, that's exactly what I want. He's like strong and tender and sexy, but he's made of wicker. And so everybody's like, uh-oh, like gonna get a splinter under these conditions.
Oh. Have you ever seen Wicker Man with Nicolas Cage?
No.
Oh my God. It's like a Lynch family favorite movie. It's so bad. It's like
You should start like the Criterion collection of,
of
Lynch,
Lynch family
Yeah.
movies. They're so bad.
Yeah.
I can't believe you've never seen Wicker Man with Nicolas Cage.
I mean, I've
It's-
heard of it, but I've never seen it.
Oh my God, it's so bad. But like also too,
Good,
like there
bad.
might be like a similarity.
Oh,
Like
interesting.
I don't know. It's just again, it's about an island that has no men on it.
Oh,
and because they don't like men.
yeah. Well,
Right.
same.
And so anyway, then Nicolas Cage comes to solve a missing persons case on the island. And
Ooh.
it ensues in ways. And Nicolas Cage alleges that he saw Kathy Bates steal a dog while filming Wicker Man.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there.
Interesting.
Also, by the way, I did throw into Vienna, I did throw a text to you of Senator Thom Tillis reveals Mitch McConnell is my landlord.
What a wild.
Sorry,
what a
starting
wild
you.
ride.
I'm from
there he
TMZ.
is.
You're just visiting
Hold on.
Mitch.
No, I live here.
Oh, you live here?
Yeah.
He just got
That's
discharged.
what's been so funny about everybody talking about all the intrigue here. It's a Senate member who happens to live in a carriage house.
You live out the back of Mitch McConnell's house.
There's actually a separate edifice if you see over here. It's a carriage house that he's rented out for years.
Oh, okay. Did-
I only moved here. I sold a condo back in March, and I'm here until I retire at the end of the December.
Oh, wow. So the media who have thought that this was Mitch's house is actually your house.
That's why I've had so much fun. Everybody talking about the whole process.
Oh my
So,
God.
good for you.
How's he doing? Have you talked to him?
I understand he's doing okay. Got out of rehab. Well, hopefully he gets back. But
Awesome.
yeah. So now you broke the story.
Okay, thanks, mate. See ya. Bye.
What a loser.
Doesn't he look like a divorced
Yeah,
dad?
totally. Also, like, just exactly what you said, which is like, I'm here until I retire at this. Like, it is sad.
Well, and that's the thing that also people like. I mean, someone like Thom Tillis, like what's next for him? Hopefully
What-
retirement, but like
no,
he's not
what's
ready
next
to.
is lobbying.
Yeah, that's true.
that's what all of them are gonna go do.
Yeah, that's
So,
true.
like,
And then
yeah.
that's surprising to me though that he then is not going to stay in some capacity in DC, but maybe he'll keep running.
Yeah, I don't think.
anyway.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much. We're so excited. On Friday we have.
We have Jules coming on Friday, you
Very
guys, and I'm
demure.
really excited to talk to her.
Me
She's
too.
had so much going on.
Yeah.
We booked her a while ago, but in the last sort of, I don't know, week or so, there's been like a lot more discourse, and we're going to talk to her about that. And yeah, I'm really excited. I've
think it'll
known
be
Jules
great.
for a long time.
I know you've known her before Demure.
Long before
Yeah.
Demure. Long before Demure, we became friendly and mutuals. And yeah, I think it's a really, I was thinking about this on the way over about how she's like, it's not easy for me to find a job. And I think there's a lot of conversation to have around that about, she's a woman of color, she's a trans woman, all of that. But then I was also thinking like, even for me, like I've applied for jobs.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid that I get weeded out because of of being a content creator.
Totally.
And like people Google everyone
Yeah.
Googles names now and resumes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the first thing that comes up is like fake fucking Reddit stuff about
Yeah.
me, things with Bethany Frankel. Like, am I getting a fair shake if I apply for a job?
I know.
I don't know.
Yeah. I
Um,
feel forever stuck, quote unquote, in media.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I can't do anything but be in media
Yeah.
forever, which like, I guess I love media. So what are you going to do? But yeah, I can empathize.
Yeah.
It's tough out there and we're going to talk to her about it.
All right. Bye, guys.